Hi, it's Louise from London South East Children's University here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to use the Children's University online platform. Now, Children's University Online is a really fantastic tool for you. It is a personal, you have your own login details, it's a personal account where you can add your hours, you can search for activities, you can see what categories and skills you've been developing by doing those activities. There's all sorts of things. And it's a really important tool because, as I've said, I won't be coming around asking to see your passports at graduation. I will be checking your online accounts to see if you've got enough hours to be able to graduate. So every time you do an activity, make sure you make a note of it. You might want to add it straight away to your account. You might want to keep a little list and add them in the school holidays, whatever works best for you. But it's really important that you do add those activities to Children's University Online for any activities that go on outside of school. As I've said in the assembly, if it happens inside school, you don't need to worry about it because your teachers will make sure that they get those added for you. But when it's outside, that's up to you. So what I'm going to do is I've got a fake child that I've created. I'd never use your details, don't worry. So I've got a pretend child and I'm going to show you the process of logging on, adding activities and seeing all that information. This is the website that you will need to come to. It is childrensuniversity.co.uk. Please be careful that you put the S in the Children's University because children at university is something on there and it's got nothing to do with us at all. But this is the main website and this is where you need to come to log on to your account. Now on this website there's things that you can do. You can find a children's university, so if you've got family members who live in other parts of the country you can always see if they might want to join children's university there. You can find activities, but you can also do that in your account, so I'll show you that in just a moment. Please don't worry about this one. So that says Children's University Online, but don't worry, that's something completely separate. You are part of Children's University through a school. So you are going to come over here. You're going to click the login and you'll see that it drops down and you can either log in as a child, a staff or a parent or guardian. Now you must always log in as a child. Even if you happen to be a parent or guardian who's helping your child, please log in as a child, otherwise it won't recognise your details. So log it in as a child and this is the screen that you will get, and you can always check to see that it does say child. If it says parent, then parent or guardian or staff, then go back and just change it. Okay. Now username, that will always be, oh, there we go, that will always be your initial, full stop, surname, full stop, and then 4 numbers. But it is very case sensitive, so if it's a capital letter on your login card, it must be a capital letter online. So here we go, t.child. As I said, this is a pretend child, so do not worry. So there's my test child 2523, and then I'm going to put the password in as well. Again, it's case sensitive, so just be careful about that. If you ever want to just double check what you've typed, because I know sometimes it doesn't recognise the password and it's just because your finger might have slipped, you can just click on the I and it will tell you the password. Okay. If you then click login, you will see this screen. Now this is the screen that you will only ever see once, and it's the very, very first time that you log on to Children's University. Now some of you might be doing this training in school, some of you might be doing this at home with your parents. Either way is absolutely fine, but I'm just going to say if you happen to not see this, it's absolutely fine, it means you've already done it before. Okay, but this is just checking to make sure that you are who you say you are. So if you want to, and I would suggest that you don't do this if you're doing this in school with your teacher, but you can if you want to at home, pop your password in, and I would just suggest that you use the password that you had that is on your login card, okay, because that will just be a great start. You can always go in and change it later, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But for this page only, just put in the same password that's on your login card. If you scroll down, again, if you know your parents' emails, you can put it in there. I would suggest only do that if you're at home with your parent or carer. If you're in school, then just leave it blank. It's absolutely fine because you can always add it later. If you then click send, it will take you to your dashboard. So I want to say, take me to my dashboard. And here we go. Now, as I've mentioned, this is personal to you, so you can't see other people's information, they can't see yours. This is unique for you. And on here you can see you can record activities. That's probably the most important part, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. You will soon start to see activities that have been added, and you'll be able to see your learning log. You'll also be able to see how many hours you've got. Obviously, my test child is brand new, so they haven't got any hours. But it will also tell you what level you're working towards. So obviously, test child hasn't got any hours, so they're working towards the bronze award. As we mentioned in the assembly, that's the first award with 30 hours. Now, if you keep scrolling down, there are badges that you can earn online. And you can also see the categories and the skills that you are developing by doing those activities, because every stamp code is linked to an activity. And when we created that stamp code, we told the computer these are the categories and these are the skills that we think you are developing by doing that activity. So as I've said, this is unique to you, so you will start to see the top categories and top skills that you are developing, not everyone else, just you. And you'll also be able to see what's on at your school, because all the activities, if it goes on in your school, you will be the only people who can see it. So people on the outside who haven't logged in as yourself, they won't be able to see those. It will only be children from your school. Okay, but I will show you in a minute how to find activities outside of school. So let's scroll up. Here we go. Now, all of those things I've shown you, they're also along the top here, so you can click on your learning log. Obviously, I've not added any activities yet. You'll be able to see your categories, you'll be able to see your skills, and then you can also get help as well. Now, what I would suggest with this is, rather than writing writing a message through this, it's probably going to be easier just to ask your Children's University leader in your school, or get your parents or carers to email me, because we can't email you in here. Okay, it doesn't have emailing. I can't message you an answer, so it's usually a lot easier. Speak to your teacher, find out who the leader is in your school, or get your parents or carers to email me. I have absolutely no problem responding to those sorts of questions, but it just makes it a bit tricky because I don't have your email addresses here. Okay, but you can also go to your details, and this is where you can add an email address if you want to, and you can also change your password at any time. Okay, you can't obviously change your username and name, but you can do those two things as well. Okay, right, let's go back to the beginning. I normally just click on this logo just to go back to the beginning because it makes life a lot easier. Okay, so let's record an activity. It's the first time you've logged an activity, and this is a training session, so let's give you a code for that. So we're going to click record an activity, and as you remember in assembly I said that every time you do an activity you'll be given a stamp code for it, and it's a colour and 4 numbers. So if these things happen outside your school, you will need to add them. So yes, I have got a stamp code, and it is this one. So if you're doing this in school, if you try and use this stamp code again, if you try doing this with your parents, it won't work. It can only be used once. Okay, so but we are going to put in purple 1402. So if you're doing this at home for the first time ever, you can add this stamp code, and it gives a half-hour stamp for doing this training workshop. Please make sure that the colour and the numbers are exactly as you've been given. Don't think, oh, I don't really like the colour purple, I might do orange instead. It doesn't work like that. Every stamp code is linked to an activity, a specific activity. So if you change numbers and you change colours, it would be something completely different. Okay, so purple 1402, that is the stamp code for this training session. So I'm going to click add my stamp, and there we go. It says, yep, thank you very much. It's been added to your account. Now you've got 2 choices now. You can reflect on activities. So as I mentioned, we tell the computer what categories and skills and things like that that we think you would be developing by doing those activities. But we'd love to hear what you think. So you can click on yes please, and it will take you and it will give you some questions and tell you if you agree or disagree and things like that. We're not going to do that right now. But if you are at home, maybe with your parents or carers, you're very welcome to do that. But if you're in school, we're not going to have time to do that today. And I would also suggest that you do it with an adult for the first time, so that you could do that together to see actually what sort of thing it's asking you. So at the moment, I'm going to say no thank you. Okay? But I've just said to you that some stamp codes can't be used more than once, because you will never need to do this training session again. Once you get logged on to Children's University Online and you get adding stamps, it gets easier. Okay? So I'm just going to show you what it looks like if you put in maybe the wrong number, or you put in an activity that can't be used again. So I'm going to go back to record an activity. Yes, purple 1402. And this is what it says. It says there's a problem. It doesn't quite look right. Now sometimes it is that you just go, oh crumbs, I put the wrong number in, mixed them up. That's absolutely fine. If you keep having this problem and it's a stamp code that you think should work, just ask either your Children's University leader, or again, pop me an email. I can help, no problem at all. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. So let's go back to the dashboard, and you can see there your learning log. It's got the activity on there. All right. Now let's just scroll down. There we go. I've got half an hour, so it's still working towards a bronze award, but you can see that that time has been added to your account. And you could also start to see these are starting to light up a little bit because you're starting to do things. I've added my first stamp, so that's great. And I've also got some categories, and you get to see how many hours you've done of all the different activities as well. And then also some skills. So you can see that things will build up. And as all your activities are added, you'll see lots and lots going on here, which is really fun. Okay. Now, if you want to go and reflect on an activity at a later time, all you have to do is go to view your activities, and then at the bottom it will say reflect, and you can do that then. So if you don't have time, and like I say, we don't have time if you're doing this in school, you can always go and do that at another time. Now, I did say I was going to show you how to find an activity. So if you go up to here and click find an activity, you can choose either to do something in your local area, near where you live, something online or at home, or keyword or title. I would personally suggest that you do one of these two, because sometimes the keyword or title might not have the exact word that you're thinking of. So for example, Erith Leisure Centre does lots of activities. So rather than adding every single activity, we've just called it activities at Erith Leisure Centre. So if you were looking for swimming at Erith Leisure Centre, it might not bring it up. However, if you say, I want to find something in my local area, and you say, I live in Erith, it will search, and then you'll be able to see the activities that are local to you. And there we go, we've got Erith Leisure Centre that pops up. Okay. Now you won't be able to find the codes online. You can't click on this and it won't tell you what the code is. It will give you information about who to contact, where it is, what goes on, but it won't give you the stamp code. So if you ever don't get the stamp code for an activity, please do ask, because they have all got posters that hopefully you should be able to see, or get your parents or carers to email me and I can help you with that. That's no problem at all. Okay, so let me just go back to the beginning. And that is basically how to use Children's University Online. What you just need to remember at the end of each session, just make sure that you log out. Okay, so click log out, and there we go. Okay, now let me just show you what it looks like if you log in again, because some of you will be doing this at home. So let me just put my password in. And as you can see, it takes you straight to your dashboard. So that place where you had to confirm your password, you won't have that again. Okay. Now, one last thing I wanted to show you is what you can do if you don't have a stamp code. Because I appreciate that some activities that you do, they may not be learning destinations, and there's a way that we can record that. But it's really important to know that if this is an activity that you do regularly, to get a stamp code for it, it must be a learning destination. So if it's like a one-off, you've gone to London, you've gone to a museum, and they're not a learning destination, that's fine. But if it's say it's a taekwondo class with an organisation that's not a learning destination, you can't keep on adding those activities, because I will have to revoke them, because unless they're a learning destination, we shouldn't really be adding them. Okay, so what you can do is record an activity, and it's going to ask you, have you been given a stamp code? Well, no. And it's going to give you some questions for you to fill out. So again, I'd probably suggest you do this with an adult. And if you're doing this in school, you probably won't have time to do it just now. You might want to look at that at another time. So if you press continue, it will start asking you questions. Okay, it will ask you names, descriptions, what you've been doing. But as I've said, if it is something that goes on lots, that you go regularly to it, it needs to be a learning destination. And also, if you add activities that actually aren't really linked to Children's University, then again, I have to take them off of your account. So sometimes I have children saying, I went to the park for 3 hours with my friends, and that is lovely, but that's not something I can give stamps for. So just be careful to make sure that the activities are linked to Children's University in some way and have that learning. If you see that they've been taken away from your account, if you see they've been revoked, then that's probably the reason why. It could be that actually we can't validate those sorts of activities, or it could be that actually you're doing it regularly and therefore it should be a learning destination. Okay, but that in a nutshell is Children's University Online. So I'm just going to come back and log out a second. There we go. Now I hope that's been, let me just see if I can stop sharing a second. There we go. I hope that's been really helpful. If you're, like I say, if you're doing this session in school, you're now going to go and have a go at logging your first stamp code, which is purple 1402. If you're doing this at home with your parents, maybe you're in year 1 or year 2, you can add that stamp to your account as well, because you won't have done this session in school. But if you do have any questions, please do get in contact with me. Have a look on the Google Drive. There's lots of step-by-step instructions on how to do things as well. But I'm more than happy to help. But it's just the most important thing is make sure that when you do an activity and you get a stamp code, make sure that you add it online. Because like I said, I'm not going to come around looking at your passports and checking those. I will be using Children's University Online. And just keep in mind those deadlines for the first Friday back after the May half term. But there we go. So off you go. Go and enjoy using Children's University Online. And I look forward to seeing hopefully lots of you at graduation. Take care. Bye bye.